We're live. Hi, it's Jeannie and Tim from DS Tech. And last month we talked cybersecurity.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about phishing. We talked twice about passwords because that's so important. And what else did we talk about?
The multi-factor that goes along with that as well.
Yeah. And lastly was software updates.
Yes, software
So those
updates.
were the 4 topics we covered for cybersecurity. There's a lot more.
It's never ending.
Matter of fact, today we're going to talk about backing up to the cloud and why should you? Before you answer that, go to dstech.net to sign up for our newsletter and then drop your questions and comments. The best comment question gets a free swag. Maybe I'll get you a cute little mug.
Yeah.
I could even put coffee in it for you. This one's vanilla.
Yeah.
It's really tasty.
Pretty good.
With a shot of espresso. So.
Yep. I got my morning coffee as well. Well, first of all, the reason why a lot of people do like to go to cloud backups now is just for the idea of security and safety. Whereas if you have your computer in your office that you're working on and you have your backup, which is going to like a hard drive or a little, they might have called a NAS or whatever you're storing it on.
Or a thumb drive like I do with my backpack sometimes.
Yeah, I guess if that's your backup solution, sure. But
not a good solution.
Yeah. The problem with that is you think of in a real disaster scenario, like, you obviously catastrophic, say the building burns down or something like that. You're not only going to lose your computers, but you're going to lose your backups that are housed in the same building. So that's why it's important to have, they call it an offsite backup. So that's what used to be called back in the day, but now it's just in the cloud. That way, if you ever need it, you can have it.
I think I remember doing an episode with Dave. Where
it's like,
3, 2, 1.
Yep.
I can't remember what the 3, 2, 1.
Exact, but yeah,
but one of them was offsite.
Offsite, yep. So, because in a true disaster scenario, you need to be able to get back up and running and get to your customer data, whatever you have, and then it could just be in the cloud, and you could use like a laptop, work from home, ad hoc until obviously things kind of buff out. With whatever disaster happened with your business, you required you to use those. The nice thing with cloud backups too is that you're not actually having to like pay for the hardware to hold the data. I mean, you're usually renting space in the cloud and the hardware, but then after 3 or 5 years go by, it's not like you have to replace that with new equipment when your warranties on this old hardware run out, because it's not on you to maintain the hardware. You're renting the space in the cloud, so it's going to be on them to keep maintaining that and making sure that your data is accessible and secure. Another nice thing with it too is it's like once the initial, I guess you could say, backup is done, you can kind of almost set it and forget it, where it'll automatically back up every day for you and sync your new stuff. And then if there is an issue where it wasn't able to back up correctly or something happens, it can send an alert. Say, hey, we noticed it didn't back up properly last night. Maybe you shut your computer down when it should have been on, and so that backup couldn't run, or there could be other issues, and then we can look into it at that point. But it's really nice and easy. And then if you need something, you're like, oh crap, I needed that file from 2 weeks ago, I accidentally deleted it. It's very easy to go on and just snag that one little file and re-pull it back to as well. So cloud backups are definitely a good thing to have.
So you don't have to maintain the equipment.
Yep.
Right? And like hard drives fail.
Yep.
I have to order hard drives for us all the time.
Yep, exactly. Or even your thumb drive, even CD mediums, the old ideas of, those have shelf lives as well. So, it happened to me personally when I used to do photography as a professional business. I call it the great computer blow up of 2012 in my head, where I lost my computer and my hard drive and all of my data. And then I had an external hard drive, which had all of my photos on it, but I hadn't checked it in 2 or 3 years. So I go to plug it in a computer. That also had lifed out as well. So I actually had no backup. I thought I had a backup on an external hard drive, but it didn't. So your heart drops, you lose all the photos, whatever. But now it was a valuable lesson to teach me that not only do I have, one physical copy, I actually have 2 hard copies and a cloud copy just in case those copies go, because nothing's worse than losing your data. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah. So, and I kind of relate that personally to my photos of my family. And it's kind of funny because back in the day you had your 35 millimeter film. You didn't have backups.
Yep.
So why do I worry so much about these photo backups? But anyway, I keep the little memory cards. So I have those.
Yep.
But they're also on my hard drive. And all of my photos automatically back up to Amazon Photos.
So you're using a cloud backup
because if you have Prime, you have unlimited photo storage. Did you know that?
Nope.
It's very cool. And if you buy a little bit, it's not very expensive. You can upload videos too and automatically back up those.
Right.
And Google has the same thing.
Yep, a lot of Google Cloud, Dropbox. There's a lot of solutions you can use that you can kind of use as like a mock backup for your photos and things like that. True backup solutions, they'll kind of do things where they can take
don't
like
back up your data that way.
Yes, you want to use
I mean, you know, like if you have bank statements and stuff like that, you
so
don't want to do that.
Don't be using Dropbox or OneDrive to save your important invoice PDFs or whatever it is. I mean, yes, maybe, you know, you want to use a true backup solution that's encrypted.
Since we're on that topic, personally, what would you recommend personally, you know, for a cloud backup?
I just used, because I used photos, so it was a site called Zenfolio. So that's just tailored towards photographers in general, which I was grandfathered in where I signed up for them and I had unlimited cloud space.
Right, like my Amazon one.
So I could just upload as many photos as I wanted to that. But, you know, like, I don't know what the new ones are, but there's like the 500 pics, the Zen. There's other sites that you can use that as well.
What if you wanted to upload or back up your data though?
Data, that's where you want to kind of, you know, one that we utilize now, it's called Axient. There's other solutions out there as well, where you can actually have the cloud not only sync your computer data to the cloud, you can actually take your stuff that's in OneDrive already or these other cloud solutions, and it takes a clone of that data. So that way, if something accidentally happens or you delete it or whatever, it's keeping versions of that data that go back in time.
And OneDrive is Microsoft.
OneDrive is Microsoft, yep.
Okay.
With like SharePoint and all that kind of stuff. Usually if you have the Microsoft 365, that suite, it'll come, you know, depending on your licensing level, it'll come with the storage.
And OneDrive is like cloud storage.
Yep.
But not a backup.
Not a backup. Don't use it as a backup and counting as your only backup.
I suppose
it does back everything up, but it's not, I wouldn't rely on that alone.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So there's a lot of solutions.
Mm-hmm.
What else? Fewer, you know, you don't have to have people managing your backup.
Yep, it's not like back in the day where you got to go get someone to actually change the tapes
Somebody has to
change the backups and things like that anymore. That's kind of gone the way of the wind. But yes, once you kind of have it set up, the configuration, and it's syncing and you get your initial data image. And then what happens is in a week, it's not like it needs to upload your data every single week. That's so much. It only uploads the changes that you've made. So the initial upload can take a little while to get all of your data to the cloud, and then it's only backing up the changes at that point. So that way you can go back in version history, because maybe you made a change to a document and a week ago you want that version of it. A lot of times in OneDrive, it's not going to keep all the version history all the way back.
No.
So having the backups that actually do true backup solutions where they're keeping like a daily, a weekly, a monthly, and then you can even expand out where you might have a quarterly, you know, a yearly.
Oh, cool.
So you can go back in time to if you really needed to. Because the problem with ransomware is it's very, I guess you could say, smart now, where it's not like your computer's infected, your ransomware, and you're attacked right there, so you can just roll back to tomorrow. A lot of times it'll sit on your network for a long time, laying dormant, and then all of a sudden spring into action 4 or 5 months later. So like, you really need to kind of go back in time to make sure that you're getting it before the initial infection, and that's why having that version history of the backups that go back in time are handy to have as well.
Because you want to go back before
the initial infection, because a lot of times they'll lay dormant and sit there for a month or two before they actually.
And you guys know when it happened.
Yeah, and we can kind of look through logs and kind of track down and find a good idea, a rough estimate, and then try to get ahead of it. Basically, is the idea.
Okay.
And having a true backup solution will have those different versions where. Just relying on OneDrive, again, that's not a true backup. I would not.
Okay, so here's another reason I just thought of, because OneDrive and Google Drive aren't encrypted, right? So if they hacked your account.
Yeah, if they hack into your account, your Microsoft account, and then they log in. Now they can log in and check your OneDrive files, whatever, where the backup solutions will typically be a completely different portal, different credentials, you passworded into it as well.
And encrypted.
And encrypted
right?
as well, yes.
And what does that mean, encrypted?
It just means that
you don't have to go in detail.
They basically modify the files so that if a hacker were to get it, they still can't access it without some extra tools. It's like having a unique key to actually look into that.
Okay.
So you don't have the unique key to look into it. You have the data. It's like having a safe. You don't have the combination of the safe. You
can't get into it.
You know there's something valuable there. You can't get into it unless you start whacking it with a torch or a sledgehammer or something.
Okay, cool. Okay, so I think we covered it all. It's less expensive, less time consuming. You don't have to deal with the hardware failures and stuff like that, or maintain the hardware.
Yep.
It's encrypted. It's automatic, so it saves you time.
Yep. The biggest thing
I think
is
those are the big five, right?
For disaster. That's the biggest thing. And a
Yeah.
true disaster where you lose your office and your computer or something like that, in a true scenario like that, that's where you definitely have to have a cloud solution in place, because around here we're not like Florida where they get hurricanes a lot, or certain areas where they deal with a lot of natural disasters, where a lot of businesses really have to think about constantly. Disaster is more of a commonplace thing for them, where up here the worst thing we have is a lot of snow. It's not going to be as bad.
But because of a lot of snow, sometimes there's flooding, and
there can be flooding. And
I remember one particular customer who did lose everything. It was sad. I think we had one of those. It was back in the day though, before we had cloud backup.
Yeah.
They had one of those fireproof, waterproof things. So they did have some of their data on there. That was kind of
that's
cool.
good. Yep.
But anyway, if you need help figuring out, what to do with your backup, email security@dstech.net. And what else do we provide? We provide free assessments and dark web scans, all kinds of stuff.
Yep.
So ask for it, and you shall receive. Is that how it goes? I forgot how that that verse. I don't know. Ask us. So make it a great day. Drop your comment so that I can get you some free swag. All right. Thank you, Tim.
You're welcome.
Make it a great day.